Welcome to Season 9, Episode 31 of the Distro That Can't Be Named podcast. It's Tuesday, the 27th of September, and we're going to discuss what's been happening in the news and in the community. I'm Mark, and joining me this week are Martin.
Hello.
And Alan.
Hello.
And unfortunately, Laura isn't with us again this week. Unfortunately, she's decided that due to other commitments, she's not going to be able to join us again for the rest of this year. However, we are going to have some guest presenters on to fill in for her, probably from the next but one show. So hopefully...
Hopefully the show coming out on October 13th will have a
October
surprise
13th. Thank you,
guest
Martin.
presenter.
I'm glad that you're on top of this timey-wimey stuff.
It should be worth noting that Laura has been on the show for a very long time and been involved in lots of parts of the show, and we say thank you very much for everything you've done for us, Laura.
Yes,
you will be missed.
Sorely missed in the last few weeks already.
Yes.
Yeah. It's amazing how much more you have to talk when there's only three people.
And do behind the scenes that no one ever gets to see or hear about.
Yeah.
It's probably best we keep it that way.
Yeah.
So anyway, Martin, what have you been up to?
I've been out, got myself a new job.
Oh, get you.
I know.
Microsoft?
No. I now work for Canonical.
Our other corporate overlord.
Yes, the company behind Ubuntu. Yeah.
When did you start? Tell everyone. Let everyone know.
As you're listening to this is my first week. As you listen to this, it's 4 days since I started. We're recording this on my having just finished my second day.
So does this mean you're going to be working on Unity now instead of Ubuntu Mate?
Professionally, what I'm going to be doing at Canonical is working on the Ubuntu desktop with Unity and all its stack and its tools. But I'm still going to continue with Ubuntu Mate as my spare time project. I've got a commitment to that, and I intend to stick with it and make it better and improve it.
Awesome. How have the first couple of days been?
Quite straightforward, because as a new starter, there's lots of accounts and things you need to do and boxes you need to go around and check so you can access all the necessary bits and pieces. But I've now been assigned a laundry list of bugs to work through. So I've now...
Welcome to the team.
Yes,
Fix these.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So yes, I've now got a big old list of bugs to start working on. So I've just started reading through those in a bit more detail this afternoon, and tomorrow I should actually try and get some real work done. Yeah.
Great. So if Unity isn't working in the future, blame Martin.
# blame Martin.
And I'm now the only one of the presenters on the show who's not just a corporate shill.
Oh, dear.
With that, should we get on with it?
Yep.
And now it's time for the news. And first up on the news is Yahoo, yes, they still exist, have confirmed that a state-sponsored, in inverted quotes, hackers have stolen personal data from 500 million accounts.
That's a lot of accounts.
Yes.
It is a lot of accounts. Now, on that point, so the next point is that apparently this data was leaked or stolen or whatever you want to say at the end of 2014. And I'm a little bit surprised that we're hearing about this for the first time now, and also really irritated about it, because my prediction in 2015 is that a major online property would have a massive security breach, and they did. And we're only finding out about it now.
And they held it back so that you wouldn't get that.
I know,
point
that
last
coveted
year.
prize of being right in the Ubuntu podcast predictions.
So I wonder how many of those 500 million accounts were just people, creating a Yahoo account because something forced them to, like 8 years ago or something, and they don't actually use them anymore, or when their ISP switched to using an email account powered by Yahoo, like BT or Sky in the past have switched to using Yahoo.
Yeah.
people have these accounts that just sit around forever, and some of them nobody really cares about because it's just like Big Hammer 258 at yahoo.com, and it's just some electrician guy who uses that as his email address and moved on to some other email address later on and never uses that one ever again. And so
you're assuming that people set up email addresses and then when the service is no longer the cool one to use, set up a different email address.
No, I'm specifically talking about ISP ones because ISPs move. My father-in-law and mother-in-law have both, in the time that I've had one email address, they've both had 3 or 4. And that's because they've changed ISPs.
Right,
or even staying within one ISP, the ISPs use different providers. And sometimes they'll forward them on and sometimes they won't. So I think there's a lot of people out there who have these addresses that aren't actually used. But that said, there are some unenlightened people who still use Yahoo for their primary email. And those people are, unfortunately, apparently around 8 million in the UK.
Yeah.
One of them lives with me, so don't be too harsh.
Your cat has an email address.
I know.
Wow. Neat. So, yeah. I mean, this is just like shrug your shoulders and, oh, look, another one.
You say shrug your shoulders, but I did. I can't understand how this happened nearly 2 years ago. And only now it's being disclosed. This is very...
Is that just because the data was leaked and nobody saw that it was leaked and it was like sucked out of their network? And then it's only once one of these, lists that gets put up online, people sell them, that it's discovered, oh, hang on, that correlates with our data.
Yeah, the hacker Peace, who has been... notorious in recent years, was hawking 200 million Yahoo accounts around recently.
Right, that would raise an alarm bell.
That was when they went, and started investigating.
Hey, those are our addresses. Hang on a minute. Yeah, oh well.
And you say, Yahoo's still around. I look back through my records. I deleted my Yahoo accounts in 2006.
I never did because I had a Flickr account and I still have some photos on Flickr that I never look at and never share and nobody ever comments on. But it was weird because today I was sat using my computer and I got a notification in the corner of the screen with a Yahoo logo on it and it said Yahoo has been hacked. And I was like, where the hell has this notification come from? What is that? What's going on there? Turns out it was LastPass. The LastPass
of course,
has a thing that will tell you if... if you should change your password. So that was useful, but it kind of alarmed me for a minute that it knew. And I was like, what? Anyway, moving on.
Next up, some Lenovo devices aren't able to install Linux.
Is this conspiracy by the man?
So there's been some conjecture that Microsoft made an agreement with Lenovo to block people installing non-Microsoft OSs.
That's what they would do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. However, of course, this turned out not to be the case.
Oh, no.
So Lenovo on these machines set the BIOS to read the hard drives in RAID mode instead of the other mode.
AHCI.
And there you go. And basically, Intel never contributed drivers to Linux to support that mode. So Linux
so if you boot off a live CD or USB, it just wouldn't see the internal hard drive.
Yep.
Much like Windows wouldn't. If you installed an old version of Windows on a new computer, it wouldn't see the drive.
Even if you have a current version of Windows 10 and you want to install on a machine that's in that RAID mode in the BIOS, you have to provide the driver alongside.
You still have to do that.
Yeah. And the reason I know this, is that I've recently got a Dell XPS 13 and 15 that have this toggle between RAID mode and AHCI mode. And in the last place I worked, every time anyone needed to do an Ubuntu install or a Debian install, I had to go over there and explain to them, you need to change this in the BIOS from RAID to AHCI. The default is RAID. And it's a bit of a misnomer in sort of desktop and laptops because... especially the laptops, they've only got one disk in them. But actually, it changes the PCI IDs of the device. And in RAID mode on Windows, using an Intel driver, you get better performance and power management facilities. And a corresponding driver to work in whatever RAID mode doesn't exist for Linux. So on Linux, you have to go into your BIOS and set it as AHCI. but I had to install Windows 10 on my machines in order to do all the latest firmware and what have you updates before I could then go back and put Ubuntu back on, which was a bit of a chore.
Fun.
Yeah. So no one was being evil. We just don't have driver support for that yet.
Which is evil.
More evil in the world. BBC iPlayer will require an account from early 2017.
Well,
How
not like
evil.
we didn't see this coming. Like, hang on a minute. First of all, they're going to ask us to. They're changing a law so that you have to have a TV license to stream live and deferred programs from iPlayer.
I thought that had already happened because I noticed on the Roku now, when you set up a new Roku and you put the iPlayer channel on, the first thing it does is says, "Do you have a TV license?"
Yeah. Does it redirect you to Disney.com if you say no?
I haven't tried clicking no. That's a good idea.
No one has.
No one ever does, yes. There's yes and no, but I'm going to click yes. Is really what those two options mean. So you'll have to have an account, and chances are this is going to be in order to limit the number of people who can access iPlayer per
household device.
TV license, and you'll get a limited number of logins, limited number of devices, no doubt, but also it will allow them
they have
to...
said that that's not the case.
It totally will. Mark my words, prediction for this beginning of the end.
2017, there we go.
But it will also enable them to have, like foreign, non-UK residents to have iPlayer accounts, which then they would be able to add payments onto.
I'm not too fussed about this, to be honest with you, because, I'm a license payer, that's fine. The only thing I'm concerned about is the way that my daughter watches iPlayer, or more specifically the CBeebies channel, which is the young children's TV programming, is I use Get iPlayer to actually pull down at the end of the day all of her favourite programs. She tells me what her favourite programs are, and I inject those into Plex. And then Agatha can watch them when she wants to, because quite often she just watches a whole series all the way through. Sounds familiar, a bit like what a mum and dad do in the evenings, I suppose. And then she'll go back to another program and it's there for her to watch, whereas that sort of 2-week, 4-week window doesn't work for the way she wants to watch the programs.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get the Get iPlayer guys work around that. They've worked around every other block.
I'm sure they may do, but it's more about I'm thinking if I have to use an account, she'll see that I'm downloading things very quickly back to back at the end of the day.
But they can already see that.
They can see that now.
Yeah, they can see that with the hits on by your IP address, clearly.
True.
Anyway, moving on. Music from the first ever synthesizer has been restored and released on SoundCloud.
Wow, who made the first synthesizer?
It wasn't Synthesizer Patel. It was developed by Alan Turing by playing
really
clicks at specific frequencies to create desired notes. And they were programmed by Christopher Strachey, I think his name was, including God Save the Queen and Baba Black Sheep. The most electro synthesizer songs you've ever heard.
Yeah. And if you've ever seen the videos on YouTube where someone's composed the Star Wars theme on floppy disk drives, it sounds quite a lot like that.
Right.
Yeah, so that's up on SoundCloud now, and we'll have a link to an article where you can listen to that. And I foresee remixes adding a bit of unce and wub to to spice those up a little bit.
Sorry, what are they? A bit of what and what?
Musical terms, technical terms, Alan.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I'll have a listen to those later.
Next up, Opera has released version 40 of its desktop browser, which features a built-in free VPN.
Do you know, whenever I hear someone mention Opera, Stuart Langridge pops up. Hello, Stuart. Saying that he uses Opera and he likes the free VPN, and it also actually has an ad blocker built in.
Yeah. So this got me thinking, seeing this added as a feature. I remember... it might have been at OggCamp or something. There was a discussion about the next kind of wave of services. The next big shift to a new product would be based on privacy, like a company saying, "Well, what we're going to differentiate ourselves on is privacy." And you kind of hoped, maybe Mozilla will do that. Maybe that will reinvigorate Firefox. But in fact, it seems like Opera's been doing that. And here we are with a browser which has a built-in ad blocker and a non-logged VPN, which you can just turn on with an option.
Right, but third parties do these kind of things anyway. I mean, if you get the Tor browser bundle, you get Tor and Firefox bundled together. So it's not beyond the wit of man to bundle together a high-class web browser with some kind of VPN software to do that. It doesn't. You don't have to use, because Opera's non-free.
There's not. That's not like marketed as a product.
No, but it's weird that the proprietary browser world have done that, but the free software world haven't. I mean, aside from Tor browser, unless there's some other browser bundle that I'm not aware of where they bundle a browser and a VPN together. I mean, it might be that if you sign up for some VPN service, they might have a free download. Here's, Firefox plus our plugin, thing. But it's not like really big and well marketed like this one has, an article on The Verge about Opera and their VPN software. So yeah, way to go. Well done. It's good that they're doing that, but I wish there were more people doing that.
Unfortunately. And finally, Mozilla announces that Firefox OS is truly, finally, and properly dead, just like the parrot.
Oh.
Well, we knew this was coming, didn't we? Hadn't we heard?
I thought it had already come.
They'd mentioned that it was shifting focus, and what they said they were going to do was move Firefox OS to be a base platform for IoT. But it seems they couldn't do that for some reason and have decided to scrap it. And I remember when they said they were going to move to Firefox OS to IoT and keep the platform alive, there were certain dissenting voices I heard from within Mozilla saying, nope, they'll keep it on live support for a few months and then they'll properly kill it. So it seems like that was absolutely right. And that was probably the plan from the beginning. Put it on live support for a few months, then, ditch it completely. And now they have.
And apocalyptically, China's Tiangong-1 space station is due to make an uncontrolled return from the heavens in 2017.
What exactly does an uncontrolled return mean? That doesn't sound safe.
It means that no one knows exactly when this is going to happen or where it's going to land. So something to look forward to in 2017.
That sounds like either big lumps crashing into things and causing damage, or pieces of a Chinese satellite appearing on eBay very soon after that.
Or both.
Or there's a competition prospect here as well, isn't there? People send us their GPS coordinates, and whoever is the closest to the crash site, wins a prize.
Yeah, sounds reasonable. I like it.
I think that's all of the news. And now it's time for the community news and events.
Nextcloud, Western Digital, and Canonical have announced the Nextcloud Box, which is an interesting project. There was a lot of teasing that this was going to happen. It happened as we were recording this last Friday, I think it was. It was announced at the Nextcloud conference. It's a plastic box with a space for a small hard drive and a Raspberry Pi and some cables.
I thought it came with the hard drive.
It does. Right. I was just describing the internal dimensions of the box.
Right,
yes,
okay.
Because it's called a Nextcloud box, right? They ship it with a 1 terabyte spinning Rust hard drive, and they don't ship it, interestingly, with the Raspberry Pi. So you bring your own Raspberry Pi, you put it in the box, you plug in all the cables, and you have yourself a Nextcloud box, which you can site wherever you want and sync your stuff to it, which sounds awesome.
Yes. One thing I found particularly interesting about this was that it sort of leads on from our discussion in the last show about Raspberry Pis, is the fact they're not including the board itself, it sort of means that the Raspberry Pi has almost become a commodity compute module.
Right.
Yeah. I think the reason that they've used the Raspberry Pi in that way in this case is to avoid having to go through lengthy FCC certifications.
Ah, right.
Yeah,
So they just use stuff which has already been,
But the board's already certified, so...
Yeah, the board is, but if they had the board in the box would have to be FCC approved. And by doing this, they dodge that. And also, this is another chalk-up one for Martin's predictions, because one of my predictions for this year is the Raspberry Pi being used at the heart of devices. So that's another one.
Sorry, sound effect. I don't remember having that one on my board. Yes, so I ordered one of these, and I'm looking forward to when it arrives and have a play with it.
Isn't this all Snappy powered as well?
It is, yeah. So
Yes.
they've chosen Snappy for the base image, and in fact, you could already make a Nextcloud box yourself. You can just get a Raspberry Pi. You can download the Snappy image off of Tinternet, put it in the Pi. Go through the setup and then snap install Nextcloud, and you're mostly there. And then you can add extra storage in the form of whatever hard drive you want. But this is just a nice way to put it all in a box and a nice way to support the project.
And those listeners who are paying attention might remember that we interviewed Kyle Fazari at the Snappy Sprint a few months ago, and he is responsible for making the Nextcloud snaps.
And they keep updating it as well. Yeah, I mean, because I'm one of the store reviewers, I get an email every time a new version goes into the store. And so I can see, they are updating that Nextcloud server software. So it's not like it's an old version baked into the image and that's it, and you don't get any updates. This thing gets updated all the time. Mm-hmm. So that's great as well. It's an appliance, but actually gets, updated software. Who knew?
I also noticed a snap for Spreed Me turn up the other day as well, which is obviously the sort of one of the movers and shakers behind the Nextcloud endeavours.
And also, in further news, Rocket Chat is now available as a snap, making it installable. It's free software Slack, basically. Aha. So it's a web-based chat thing, and you can, snap install Rocket Chat, point your browser at it, job done. It's a really nice. So if you wanted a little server in your home office, and you wanted a little chat server, and you also wanted somewhere to share your files and somewhere for all your devices to store their photos, then Nextcloud plus Rocket Chat. And then if you wanted to use it for
very compelling now.
Video chat as well. Yeah, it's really good.
It was only a few short months ago that I elected to use HipChat for that stuff, because I didn't want to go through the hassle of setting up a load of infrastructure and maintaining it. And snaps are really knocking that barrier to entry down.
And there was a recent interview with one of the Rocket Chat developers. Michael Hall posted it on the Ubuntu Insights blog, where they discuss, why they chose to make a snap available. And it's not the only way to get hold of Rocket Chat. It's just one way, but it's just a super convenient way to get hold of it. So that's pretty cool.
In desktop environment news, there has been a glut of releases. So GNOME 3.22 has been released. Mate 1.16 has been released, and LXQt 0.11 has been released.
Blimey.
All soon to appear in various flavours of Ubuntu. So I think Ubuntu GNOME 3.22 will feature in 17.04. LXQt, I hope, is going to feature in 17.04. I know the Ubuntu guys have been waiting on a few fixes before they make the jump from LXDE to LXQt, and I'm really looking forward to their LXQt spin.
Is it too late for 16.10?
Last I spoke to Simon Quigley, yes, they decided to not go with it. But Mate Desktop 1.16 will be in Ubuntu 16.10.
Super. So lots of new things to play with.
Lots of new desktops to play with, yeah.
Cool.
Very exciting. And in further release news, Mozilla Firefox 49 has been released. And that sees us saying goodbye to hello. We've got DRM now, which is nice.
Yay!
Yeah.
And more rollout of the multi-process features.
2 or 3 more users get access to that now, do they?
Yeah.
I think you can email it manually if you really want to.
Yes, you can. I enabled it and didn't really notice because I then closed Firefox and stopped using it. So, your mileage may vary.
Yeah, I tested the DRM stuff.
Did that work?
Well, yes, technically yes. You do have to use a user agent switcher when you go to things like Netflix, for example.
Oh, because they
tell Netflix that you're Chrome on Linux rather than Firefox on Linux. So I imagine it will not be too long before we start seeing those major streaming platforms recognizing Firefox 49.
Well, when it got enabled in Chrome on Linux, one of the Netflix engineers emailed the Ubuntu, I remember us talking about it on the show, emailed the Ubuntu Devel mailing list to say, hey, can I just let you know that we want to enable this? So, your browser works, and I think there was a bug that needed sorting, but at their end, they flip a switch that says, allow this user agent, to stream video. So I'm sure the Mozilla developers could just contact Netflix and say, hey, you could flick the switch for us now.
Annoyingly, if you go to Netflix with Firefox 49 on Linux, you get a page to tell you to install Silverlight at the moment, which is a bit of a sad face moment. Yeah.
I'll get right on that. Moving on, Snapcraft GUI 3.0 has been released for Ubuntu 16.04 LTS and for 16.10. This is pretty cool. So Snapcraft is a command line tool, and you use it to create snap packages, and it's got a YAML file that you edit with whatever your text editor is, and you type various commands in Snapcraft to various incantations to make it spit out a snap file. But there's a guy in the community who prefers GUIs, and so he just said there should be a GUI and then made one. So he made a GUI front end for Snapcraft. It's written in Qt, I think. He's been iterating on that and pushing out new releases. So that's really cool.
Excellent.
I think that's a nice way to make it easier for people to turn their software into snaps without having to dig around in the command line, but, use the command line to install Snapcraft and this Snapcraft GUI and then stop using the command line. Maybe. Anyway. That's all the news, the community news, and now it's time for some events. Martin, what's up first?
Yeah, our first event is using snaps to deliver enterprise and easy for me to say, consumer software with Nextcloud. So this is a webinar with Frank Karlix-Czech of Nextcloud, and he will be explaining why Nextcloud have chosen to use snaps to deliver Nextcloud to end users and enterprise customers.
Oh, this is very timely given what we were just talking about.
Exactly. And this is going to take place on the 5th of October. That's 5 p.m. UK time, which will still be British summertime on the 5th of October, and it will also be available online afterwards, and we'll have to dig up a link to that when we get one.
Yes, we have a link, and you can register and sign up and watch it live or watch it later.
Cool. Next up, Raspberry Jam at the Google Digital Garage, a family-friendly event that will be providing coding and digital making activities for children and adults to participate in. That's in Glasgow in Scotland on the Saturday the 8th of October from 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon.
Awesome. Retro Gaming Vintage Computer Day is a day where people can drop in and out and play on a range of retro consoles and vintage computers, ranging from Ataris to Commodores and more recent things like Xboxes and PS2s. It's at the Flutterby's Tea Room and Coffee Shop in Great Yarmouth in Norfolk on Monday, 24th of October at 11 a.m. And we'll put a link in there to show how you can get tickets.
And finally, the Ubuntu Online Summit is from the 15th to the 16th of November 2016.
Yes, and you can schedule your own events. If you've got something you want to talk about with other members of the Ubuntu community, you can go to summit.ubuntu.com and create an event and gather people to join in with your event and, workshop something, brainstorm new plans for new things in Ubuntu, whether it's app related or cloud or convergence or any of the other cool buzzy keywords that make up the tracks in the online summit.
Excellent.
Is that all the events?
I believe so.
Sweet.
We love getting your feedback, so please send it to us. Even the pointlessly mean stuff makes us laugh. If it's short, tweet us on @Ubuntu Podcast. If it's less short, but please no essays, email us on show@ubuntupodcast.org. If you'd like to discuss some of the things we talk about with other listeners, post on our Shiny News subreddit at reddit.com/r/Ubuntu Podcast. Or you can just leave a comment on the relevant show notes on our website, ubuntupodcast.org.
Oh, we're going to keep Laura doing that bit though, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we'll have to get her a gig as the official announcer for the Ubuntu podcast.
As opposed to all those unofficial announcers that we keep getting lining up. Yes.
Yeah, we'll get our people to speak to her people and sort something out.
Oh, that's all for episode 31. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week when we'll be talking to Ryan Sipes from System 76 and bring you some command line love.
And some feedback, I would imagine.
Lots of feedback.
Tons of it. Yes.
So much feedback.
Looking forward to that. We love getting your feedback.
We do.
As Laura says, even the pointlessly mean stuff. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And stop.